The sweet spot, and it's we're marking kind of a somber occasion. Not very long ago, it was announced, somewhat to my shock, that the Boston Phoenix, the great and venerable alternative weekly, was no more.
But let's set terms a little bit.
Okay.
In case you don't know what an alt weekly is, when you came out of the waterbed store,
Yeah.
the restaurant, the bar, there was this stack of free papers, right?
Yeah. If you wanted to rent an apartment, if you needed a used bike, if you needed a ride somewhere, or if you needed maybe a little bit of human companionship of a certain kind, you could look for it there. And
you know what you're describing? You're describing the internet. I ran a couple. I ran one in Minneapolis called the Twin Cities Reader, which was an early casualty, and then I went on to Washington City Paper, which was a big, throbbing, successful weekly.
What was it that the City Paper did that was so important?
These were ferociously local.
Yes. I mean,
tribal almost, and went after city government, went after mainstream media.
Also covered local art scenes. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager growing up in Providence, Rhode Island, there was the New Paper and the Providence Eagle, which were bitter rivals in the free alt weekly world, and they just covered all of the local bands, the local clubs, and there was the whole alternative thing. I mean, these papers grew out really of the counterculture.
There was an ease. There was a way of giving it a whirl, and let's try this, let's try that.
And is it because there was a fairly solid foundation of revenue and circulation?
Oh, these things killed it financially. If you think of the bundle, the ads went with the text. I can remember when I was working in Minneapolis, we said, we'll take no ads that objectify women. A laudable goal. It almost tipped us over. Another great idea was, bar ads are slow pay or no pay. Let's not have that in there. No, people saw that as content.
All right, so give me an example of a story that could only exist in the alt weekly ecosystem.
A woman came to me and said, I've been gun stalked by a guy for 4 years straight. The district police won't do anything about it. So I got with her, I checked all her documents, checked her identity, looked at her police reports. I said, well, why don't you give it a whirl? She turned in, 5,000 or 6,000 words about what it was like to be stalked by someone who you knew had a gun, who had shown up several times. And then right when we got close to publishing it, I thought, I don't know what this guy is going to do. So I talked to her family, and we published Me and My Stalker. It was one of the most epic pieces of journalism I have ever read. It was visceral, it was true, and the guy got drunk and turned himself into police instead of showing up at her door with a knife or a loaded gun. That's the kind of risk that alt weeklies would take that I don't think a daily paper ever would. I do think that the rest of the world want more. I mean, if you're under 30 and you're watching this, you're going, what are you talking about?
No, it's true, because the ones that still exist, I mean, the Village Voice is still out there, but has really fallen such a long
It can
and
be
sad
done, though.
way.
Look at The Stranger, edited by Dan Savage. A beautiful online paper, an exciting paper in print, still remarkable.
And there's one that just started up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, not very long ago, called This Land, which is kind
I love that.
reviving the sort of the old dream, very, very idealistic, very political, very crusading.
So, let's just take a moment. Boston Phoenix.
Yes,
we knew you win. Boston Phoenix. None of the rest of you care.
Or maybe you do. Tell us. Do you ever have a hankering for some cheap, smeary newsprint with naked women in the back and hard-hitting investigative reporting up front?
Who doesn't like that?
Do you want that? Why?